Hey guys, how's it going? I know I said I'd be keeping these videos brief, but there are a few things that I want to talk about in this one, and I actually have a couple of questions to ask you guys, and I hope you'll get back to me in the comments or with the messages or whatever. But anyway, the first thing that I wanted to talk about was the second method for making Netherweave cloth, and here it is. You're going to want to come out to Shadow Moon Valley at the ruins of Karabor, where you have a lot of blood elves here. Each of these guys has a good chance of dropping 2 or 3 Netherweave cloth. And in this one little area, there are a whole bunch of them just fighting each other, and they're all melee mobs. So while you're mounted up, you just gather all of them. You might have to like stand on top of some of them for a couple of seconds so they notice you because you're level 80 and you're moving fast. So uh, I think they're trying to ignore you, but you don't let them. And there's actually an elite mob that spawns here, and you can just pull him. And since he has a ton of HP, he's a great mob to use to spread your diseases, because he's not going to die very quickly. And that gets your diseases spread to all of the other blood elves. Let me just speed up this fight sequence here, and the looting sequence. Oh, you can see them all doing their little evasion tactic thing. And it doesn't really matter because they can't evade your diseases. And then you just take out the elite mob. He transforms into a demon. It doesn't really matter to you because you're level 80. And once they're all dead and you're finished looting up, you're going to want to mount up. Man, my narration is way off. Okay, there we go. You mount up, and then you cut across these steps here. And you head over to this little tent area, this little red tent over there off to the side. You'll see it here in a second. There it is. It's like a caravan, not a tent. I don't even whatever. So yeah, and you hit up these guys and you take them out using your AoE abilities. And this is the second pull of the circuit. We're going to speed this up too. And once you're done with these guys, you're going to run down the right side of this ramp, and you're going to pull the mobs all manually. Unfortunately, you can't pull them all the way down the end because this is not an instance, and the mobs will eventually stop chasing you. So you have to pull, I don't know, no more than 6, I'd say, at a time. You want to have around 4 or 5, ideally. So you pull around 4 or 5, and then you take them out. And you do this all the way down the ramp. Just like so. Take the next group here. And you're going to get to the bottom of the ramp, where that spiked fence thing is. And you're going to loot up all those guys. And then you're going to mount up and do the same thing all the way up the other side of the ramp. I think one of the great things about this method and the method I showed you in the last video is that you don't need a ghoul to do it. In my Skullomance videos and in my Ramparts videos and basically all my instance farming videos, you need a ghoul to pull a certain way to get the most speed and the most loot out of the run, the fastest gold per minute. But this method can be done by any Death Knight, really. You don't need a ghoul, you don't need any specific spec, and you don't need to get locked out of any instances. So I think that's probably the most friendly thing about this method. This is very spec friendly. And after I'm done looting this pull, I'm back at the stairs where I originally started. I sometimes like to use this guy by himself just to refill my HP. Just take him on his own and turn my pet on passive and just use Death Strike to finish him off. There we go. Okay, so now we're back at the stairs where we started. And if you've gone fast enough, this big pull up here is not going to have completely respawned. So instead of going out there and taking what actually is there, there are more mobs that you can take, like these guys off to the side. And once you're finished with these guys, you can mount up and fly a little higher in the ruins, and you'll find some more melee mobs. They're also going to be among some warlocks. Try to avoid the warlocks if you can, unless there's a way that you can pull them without them getting any range on you. See, I just ignore the warlocks over there on the left, and I grab just the melee mobs over here, and I take them in their own small little group. And finally, if you fly up to the very top of the ruins, there is another small group of melee mobs over here on the stairs. Just pick those guys up while you're mounted up, making sure not to fly, because if you start flying, they'll just pat back. And also, don't pull that boss in that room. It's impossible to kill him without a quest, so you really don't want to be fighting him. Alright, so we take this small little group. I lose one of the melee mobs, but that's okay because I pick up a warlock, so no big deal. This is probably the only warlock that I'd recommend fighting. And you just down these guys. And by the time you are done with these guys, total, the whole circuit should have taken about 9 to 10 minutes. You can mount back up and fly to where you originally started, and all the mobs will have respawned by this point. And once again, you do the same thing. Just gather them all up on your mount and take them all down. I'm going to go ahead and speed up the rest of the second circuit here so I can talk about the other thing that I wanted to mention. Okay, so the next thing that I wanted to talk about, in general, is this delicious, delicious hot chocolate. No, actually, that's not what I wanted to talk about. Okay, I've actually been thinking of starting up a blog that would accompany my videos. And I kind of wanted to get some feedback from you guys on that because I am a writer. I do write fairly well. And I usually have a lot to say about my anything that goes on in my videos. But I usually don't have very much time to say it in because of the YouTube 10-minute limit. And I figured a blog would be a perfect way to accompany that because then I could throw in links and all kinds of other things. And what I wanted to know is if you guys would actually be interested in that and if that's something you would actually read. Because I don't want to invest the time in starting a blog if it's not something that my viewership would actually want to get into, if that's not something you guys would read. So do you guys read gaming blogs in general, or do you only do YouTube, or do you not really have time for one or the other, and you can't really do both? So anyway, just give me some feedback on that. I'd really like to know what you guys think. And secondly, another thing that's really important to me is what you guys want to see. I have a lot of ideas for videos. Keep in mind that I do intend to release more tanking videos. I want to do one video for each of the heroics out there right now. As I said, that's the reason I created Frost Tanking 101. And so bear in mind, I do have that planned. I also have a Protection Warrior. People have sent me messages. They're like, hey X, can you do more tanking videos, but of other classes as well? Because I keep running into really shoddy tanks using the Dungeon Finder, and I'd like a reference to point them to. But I really enjoy tanking on my Death Knight, and really I've been having a lot of fun tanking on my Protection Warrior recently too. And I've wanted to make videos of him, but that kind of opens up a whole new can of worms. Like, do I create a Protection Warrior tanking 101 and invest all that time, or do I go on and do other small things with X, or and actually I have my Shaman too. I've been doing some raiding. I might want to do some videos of raids or PvP. There's also other games besides WoW. I mean, I've been wanting to play Deus Ex, that old game of the year, one of my favorite games of all time. I've actually been wanting to do a run through of that and maybe record it. There's StarCraft. I've got some requests for StarCraft from some people, and actually one of my most popular videos, like the one that hits the fastest, has been the League of Legends video that I came out with Master Yi. So I mean, I really don't know what's going on. Oh man, here I am again. I'm running out of time for things to say. Let me cut the recording here so I can figure out what I need to do to fit this into 10 minutes. Alright, I'm back. Actually, you know what? I'll just go ahead and leave it at that for now. Let me hurry up and recap the Netherweave situation for you guys. Okay, here I'm going to have to let the inventory speak for itself because I don't have time to go over all of it, but you can see I looted a lot of greens, and I looted about 7 stacks of Netherweave cloth because some of that is from the Isle of Quel'Danas, so I'll just tell you right now that I looted about 7 stacks of Netherweave cloth, and I got a lot of greens to disenchant. Let me know what you guys think about the questions I asked you. Leave me a comment, rate, subscribe, send me a personal message. Until next time, guys, go out and have fun. Cheers!